And we're here, and it's good to be here, I think. We like to test and make sure that you can see and hear us. I think it'll probably work pretty well, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah, Ron says there's a
We are
great
live.
speaker here today. And we'll have him here in a few minutes.
He's on the inside
Yeah,
today.
yeah, yeah. How's everybody doing? Looking good.
Hello, all.
Yeah, we missed you and Perry. All right. That is a good one.
Yeah, not a bad time if you like learning. We're in a great time.
Okay, it's 2 o'clock and time for episode number 209 of What Does This Button Do? It's an educational show about smartphones and tablets with us geeks on tour. Yeah, and if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe if you can. Click the bell, put the thumbs up, do all that normal stuff. Chris has a quick tip here. We're talking about Apple Watches and all kinds of activity monitors, and we have a video for you today.
Yeah, this is just to kind of get the ball rolling. In case you don't have one of these watches, this is for you to see exactly what we'll be talking
Hi,
about.
this is Chris Gould with Geeks on Tour, and this little video is about how my Apple smartwatch tracks my health statistics. I happen to have a watch Series 6, and I'm a beginner, so this is a beginner's video just explaining a little bit about how it does it. It does it with a combination of sensors and apps on the watch itself and on the phone. So the first thing I want to show you is where those sensors, so see the sensors are on the bottom that are touching my skin. There's another sensor on this button called the digital crown. Now, the apps are on the watch as well as on the phone. So if I wanted to, for example, do a blood oxygen recording, I tap on the digital crown and see my list of apps. So if I tap on blood oxygen and tap start, can you see the red light shining on the bottom? That is how it is sensing my blood oxygen levels. All right, very nice. Next one I want to show you is the ECG, electrocardiogram. ECG. And for this one, I have to touch my finger on this button to close the circuit between my left and my right. No signs of atrial fibrillation. That's good. And then at any time I want, I can just see what my heart rate is. It's tracking that all the time. Now let me show you the apps on the phone. So I just got a notification that I have an ECG recording, and it shows it to me. And here are all the other things that it can show me. Now, one of the things that I like to do is to track my sleep. But I found that the app that came with the watch and the phone didn't give me much information. I used to wear a Fitbit, and it would tell me when I was in deep sleep and REM sleep. This seems to only give me the hours of sleep, period. So I did a little bit of research, and I found an app. I went to the App Store and downloaded an app called Auto Sleep. And I got that both for the phone and for the watch. So on the watch, you have an app store just like you do on the phone. App store and search auto sleep. And it finds it, and you can install it on your watch. Then you can look at the results on the phone, auto sleep. And it gives me so much more detail. It tells me hours in bed, hours asleep, hours in deep sleep, and average heart rate during the night. It gives me this reading of something called readiness, and I can get hour by hour detail in here. It tells me, for example, at 3:30 a.m., my heart rate was 58. Just a little bit later there, my blood oxygen was 99%, and it's these purple here that I look for. That means I'm in deep sleep. So that's just a little bit of an intro about what we mean when we say my Apple Watch can monitor my health.
All right.
So yeah, those of you who have one, that was very, very, very basic. But in case you've never seen it, and we'll be hearing a lot more from an overall perspective on what health monitoring these wearable devices can do.
Okay. So how my Apple Watch monitors my health.
That was in the, just keep going.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, what are we doing?
We're home, but we did get a little trip in last week. We went up to an RV rally called FMCA in Perry, Georgia, and stopped at a friend's place on the way back. And look at those azaleas.
Gorgeous.
Northern Florida is just on fire with azaleas. And it was beautiful, and it was fun to be in our little camper for a few days.
Yeah.
But we're back home now.
Okay. We want to say hi to all of our live viewers. There's a bunch of you out there. And Florida. Thanks, Chris. All right, Nancy, good to see you. Okay, Julie and Honey. Look, y'all. Auto sleep available on Android? Oh, I don't know.
Good question. I don't know.
Is there?
I think that's just an Apple Watch thing, so it would be just an Apple thing, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Let's see then. About time we can, well, thank you to all of our premium members. You make our work possible. We are member supported, Geeks on Tour. I want to remind our premium members that after this show, right after this show, we have a Zoom meeting with our premium members. That's one of the benefits of membership. Get the link from an email that Chris sends out to all of our premium members, or if you are a premium member, you can log in on our website and get in that way. There's a link on the member login page. So today, how will wearable technology improve your health in 2021? That's a great question. And to answer that question, we have a special guest. What do you say, Chris?
Ron Brown. If you've been watching our show for any length of time, you've already met Ron. He's been on several times, and this is a topic that he is so qualified to talk about. So when we wanted to do it, we thought of him immediately. He is a retired technologist and a retired physician. He usually spends the winter in Arizona and teaches at a computer club there. Since he's stayed home in Vancouver Island, this year he started teaching virtually, and we highly recommend you check out his every Monday Zoom meeting called Tech for Seniors. It's I call it a variety show, Ron. How do you like that?
Well, okay, sure. I mean, we have 5 people on, so we do a song and dance sort of thing. It's we try to have fun.
Yeah, and you do a great job. I've learned things every time that I've spent the time to log on, and it's recorded on YouTube so people can watch it afterwards. Same thing.
Great.
And 52 seasons. This Monday will be our 52nd straight show. So 1 year anniversary on Monday. So
1 year
come by.
every week. Wow.
That's
Yeah.
congratulations. Well, we've been known to do one a week, but I
Yeah,
don't
but-
think we've ever done 52 in a row for
Yeah.
a whole year. That's
Didn't
great.
even miss for Christmas.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool. All right.
So I know you've prepared a video that's the main thing we're going to show, but do you want to just kind of say a few words about how you got into wearable technology, or just a little introduction?
Well, I think that when we talk about wearables, we think about watches and things that they do, and a lot of people use these as activity trackers. What I'm interested in is more for seniors and cardiac monitoring and specific things that will make your life, certainly, since I've given this talk for so long now, I get lots of testimonials, people writing saying, I went to the emergency department, followed your advice, and the doctor said if I didn't do this, I would have died, so that I get those all the time. So this is helping people. It is saving lives. So what we're going to talk today about is not really, better sleep. It's to do with cardiac monitoring, and we'll talk about that in the video, and a big announcement that will be in the video as well for you.
Okay, you ready for that?
All
Sure,
right.
go ahead.
Just go ahead, and all 3 of us will be watching the chat. So if there's some questions that we can answer in the chat while the video is playing, that's fine. But when it's about a 15-minute video, and when we come back, we will have Ron to answer questions.
It's Ron Brown with Tech for Seniors. Today I'd like to talk to you about how wearable technology will improve your health in 2021. Now I have a big announcement for you, so please stay tuned until the end of the video. Let's get on with it. Most of you probably know me from Tech for Seniors, but in another life I was actually a physician, and I looked after people for about 35 years. So about 3 years ago, I decided to make a presentation on saving your life with wearable technology. It went over pretty well, and I've given this presentation to over 100 different clubs and organizations. It was so popular, I did part 2, and this year, because of the changes I'm going to talk about today, I will be doing part 3. I've had many testimonials from people email me or writing me back saying that they followed my advice in the video and it saved their life or prevented serious medical complications. So it's a good video. You should watch it, and I'll drop the link in the show notes. Let's look at the changes that are occurring in 2021. Now this is a slide I used in my 2019 presentation. In this slide, I want to point out that wearable technology is big business. It is a lot of money is going to be spent on wearable technology. And there's 2 things in this slide I want you to look at. This was a slide that indicated the wearable technology shipments for the 3rd quarter of 2019. And there's 2 things, 2 takeaway messages. The first is that although smartwatches are popular, the earwear actually was 40.7%, and the smartwatch volume was 17.6%. And this is of all shipments of those devices, not just with Apple, but worldwide. But the most important thing I want you to look at is the total shipments in that quarter was 84.5 million devices. All right, now let's look fast forward to today, and this is a different slide, but this is the fourth quarter of 2020. And I want you to look at the bottom of the graph here, and you'll see that the total number of shipments now are 153 million, doubled in 2 years. Now, in the graph, you also see that Apple now is about just over half of all worldwide shipments of wearable technology. Now, Apple doesn't divide it out into earbuds versus watches, but they did indicate in the article that about 50% of the sales of their wearable technology were related to their watches. So it is big business. These devices perform many tasks, but in this short video today, we're going to focus on cardiac monitoring, specifically electrical problems within the heart. Now, your heart has a main electrical trunk line coming in that provides power to the heart. And just as in your house, it has a circuit breaker panel. In fact, your heart has 2 circuit breaker panels. So in this diagram, you'll see the main trunk line coming in to the first circuit breaker panel. Now, this panel can actually fail as you get older. Just like you have your eyes and you have cataracts, you have joint replacement, you get your knee and your hip replaced. This particular circuit breaker can fail. Now, if it fails in the closed position, you don't get any electrical impulses to your heart, and it stops. This is a slide that shows a terrible accident where people were killed. And in this situation, probably what happened is the driver was driving along and lost consciousness. This is an example where your heart slows to a very, very slow rate. And guess what? You might need a pacemaker to keep it going. What is the incidence of this happening to you? Well, if you look in the slide here, you'll see that if you are over the age of 60 and you look at this graph, you'll see the incidence of pacemaker 1 failure in the over 60 age group. And look at the graph going up. Let's go back to the diagram again. Let's take a look at our circuit breaker. What happens if it fails in the open position? Then your heart speeds up and it goes too fast, and you may get into a situation such as this, which is atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation is a major cause of stroke. Let's look again at the diagram here, and you'll see again, if you are 60, you'll see, look at the graph of the incidence of atrial fibrillation. It is the same graph. So it is so important to know if your heart is going too slow or too fast. And the 3 smartwatches we're going to mention today all have cardiac monitoring enabled. And these will actually all be approved by the FDA as a level 2 medical device. Let me explain this. If you look at the devices we're going to talk about today, they've had to go through stringent requirements and be approved as a level 2 medical device with the federal FDA. Now, this means it's the same as if you had an anesthetic machine or an ECG in a hospital. These all have been certified to be able to measure your pulse and detect atrial fibrillation. If you look at the second item on the slide, you'll see blood pressure recording. Well, the Samsung Galaxy 3 watch actually can measure your blood pressure. Not quite in the United States yet. It's been approved in South Korea, and it is on the approval waiting list in the United States, which should be this summer approved, so you'll be able to measure your blood pressure. Again, this is an FDA-approved device which measures accurate blood pressure. Now, fall detection and oxygen sensing are not FDA approved. In fact, there's no regulation or standards on those. So that makes the results very suspect. But the big announcement today is diabetic blood sugar monitoring on your watch. This is huge. And it's really going to change the way we look at these devices. Right now, the big input for these devices is through industry. One of the concerns that I've had is patients tell me that have got these devices, they go to their doctor and the doctor says, "What? What is this?" They don't understand the technology because this technology is being driven by industry. When we move into the next phase of these watches, which is going to be extremely popular with bloodless blood sugar monitoring, you're going to see this will be an integral part of diabetes management and also will be incorporated very quickly into the medical education program that we teach doctors. So let's have a look at this. Now, these are the 3 smartwatches that do cardiac monitoring and have been FDA approved. Apple has been out of the gate first with the Apple Watch. This has been available for cardiac monitoring since Series 4. They're now in Series 6. Apple is truly committed to the global market, and they have gone to all the countries around the world and have had the software for cardiac monitoring approved by the equivalent of the FDA. Clearly, they are the leaders, but the amount of money being spent now is so huge, Samsung and Google are coming up pretty quick. The second watch is with cardiac monitoring is made by Samsung, and this is the Galaxy Watch 3. This watch is a great watch, but has had problems because, of course, when it was initiated, it was launched into the United States, the cardiac monitoring hadn't been approved by the FDA. Today, in the news, there was the leaked document, and the Galaxy Watch 4 will be released this year, and it will indeed have cardiac monitoring, blood pressure monitoring, and blood sugar monitoring all pre-approved and ready to go out of the box. Pretty interesting, and it just came out this morning. The third watch with cardiac monitoring is the Fitbit Sense. Now, as you probably remember, Fitbit was bought last year by Google for $2.1 billion. And they're really changing the Fitbit line of watches into health monitoring devices. Again, this is a really big business, so you're seeing big changes occur. This is the watch that I own. I did a video on this called The Misunderstood Fitbit Sense. And the reason is because this philosophy on this watch works a bit different. I didn't like it initially and was going to take it back and get my money back. And then when I realized how it does work, it's fine. And I made this video that has had just under 20,000 views. So these are the 3 watches that have cardiac monitoring. And let's look at what's coming up. So this is an article that came out on the Wire service in January of 2020, a little over a year ago. And this was a research article on a group of people from the Samsung Advanced Institute of Technology, or SAIT, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT. And this group of people was able to use a piece of equipment to measure blood sugar without touching any bodily fluids. They were actually able to measure it through the skin. No body fluid contact. Never been done before. I immediately knew the significance of this article. This is going to change the way we practice medicine. Watch what's going to happen now. They use this piece of equipment called a Raman spectroscopy to measure blood sugar accurately through the skin without any contact with bodily fluid. Well, it's just a matter of time before you can take this piece of equipment and you can make it smaller and fit it into a watch. And I predicted that this would take about a year or 2, and you're now seeing that it's coming. Both the Apple Watch Series 7, which is going to be out this year, has strongly been rumored that it's going to be bringing its blood sugar measuring capability, and of course the leaked document this morning with the Samsung Galaxy 4. So this is coming. There's also been some patents from no-name brands that are trying to get in as well. So we're seeing a lot of activity, and I am so excited because this is going to change the way we manage diabetes. Let's look at that. So let's look at the staggering costs of diabetes. There are 30 million Americans with diabetes. And the cost of this is $327 billion. So let's look at this closely. All right, let's look at the costs on this. The cost of diabetes monitoring with testing strips is about $1,000 a year. Diabetics have to measure their blood sugar with glucometers, which involve testing strips. Then there's the initial purchase of the machine. Now, if we look at this let's look at 30 million people, and you have about $1,000 a year for 30 million people. That's $30 billion in that year. Now, remember, these are consumable items, and that is over a 3-year period going to be what I calculate as $90 billion. Let's look at let's take the Apple Watch as our diabetic management, and that would be $400 for 30 million people, and that's about $12 billion. Now that's going right into Apple, right? But that's a fixed cost over 3 years. So if you take 90 over a 3-year period, what's the cost to the insurance company and the general public? If you take 90 minus 12, there's a savings of $78 billion. This truly is the Holy Grail. Now, I'm an old guy. When I graduated from medical school, we didn't have glucometers. We measured diabetes by measuring your urine, or occasionally we did finger prick to measure your blood sugar. I saw the whole technology of glucometers come in. First of all, we only used them for very severe cases, and then they became a gold standard for the treatment of diabetes. This is what we're dealing with now with the new technology for measuring blood sugar with your watch, and it's a pretty exciting time, and it's going to make a big change in how we practice medicine, and certainly for those people making the equipment, it's going to make people a lot of money. It's the Holy Grail. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Seniors. How wearable technology will improve your health in 2021.
Excellent.
A lot to look forward to, huh?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's going to be an exciting time. Lots more. I'll be making lots more videos.
I bet you will.
We'll be watching.
Already it's doing great.
Yeah.
So did you want to go through a couple?
Yeah, we have a few.
Oh, you wanted to do that slide, Ron.
Oh, yeah. Put the slide up. I wanted just to let everybody know. Yeah, perfect. So what I wanted to show everyone is that if you there's a company called KardiaMobile, AliveCor, and they make this device called KardiaMobile. This has been around prior to the Apple Watch and prior to the Apple Watch, and it's a little device that you can purchase. You can purchase it on Amazon. This is, in fact, you can get it for on Amazon for around $70. And there's an app you put on your smartphone, and then this device actually will measure do an ECG and do the interpretation and do all the things that a smartphone would do. Now, why would you want to buy this? Well, let's say you didn't have a phone that had the cardiac capability, and you had some heart problems. Physicians often use this. This is really quite a common thing that physicians will get you to go and buy. And you all you have to do is there's an app that you put on your smartphone, and then you just put your 2 fingers on each side of this and it's really quite small. It'll fit on a key tag, and then you can it'll do an ECG for you and interpret the ECG and tell if you have atrial fibrillation. In fact, this is the technology Apple used in their Series 4 in the first when they first brought this out. This was the technology that they used. So it's the same thing, but it's just you don't need an Apple, you don't need an iPhone or you don't need a smartwatch to do this. So I thought I'd let everyone know that this is actually a good option. A lot of people I talk to, a lot of the groups I talk to about this, that they go and buy something like that because it's a lot cheaper.
And Hugh mentions that AFib is not just about heart rate. So
Yes,
just a heart rate monitor won't won't alert you to atrial fibrillation.
Right. I mean, you see, you have to understand that there are many, many, many devices that will measure what your heart rate is. You could buy a $5 device, at the dollar store and stick it on your wrist, and it will tell you what your heart rate is. That's really simple to do. What the cardiac monitoring and the FDA approved ones do is they actually interpret it, right? They actually will tell you if you actually have there's an interpretation part of that, and that has to be validated. And that was all validated with large medical clinical trials so that the FDA approved it. So we know if the Apple Watch says to you, you have atrial fibrillation, it's right. All right, you do have that, right? Because it's being validated, it's being proved, and that's where we're going with that. So you have to be careful. I mean, someone sent me an article, someone sent me an ad from China, and they said, look, I can buy this watch for $20, and it it takes my temperature, does my blood pressure, it does my heart, and it goes on and on and on and on, and make ice cream too, right, for $20. And so I mean, you got to be really careful about what you buy, right? And so what I tried to show you today is this is all being validated and is legit stuff, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And I sent you an email that came in before the show that you replied about the glucose monitoring devices that are out there now. Explain the difference between
right. So
devices out there now and
yeah. So a lot of people say to me, "Oh, I've got that," or "I know someone that does that," and they just they take their watch and just tap their skin, right? All those other devices actually have some sort of electrode that it's like usually a little screw, and it screws in and it's under the skin, and so there actually is a monitoring sensor under the skin on your arm or wherever you put it, right? And so all you do is take your phone and tap it over the sensor, and it tells you what the blood sugar is. But that still requires a consumable thing. It requires something to be stuck in you, and it requires contact with fluids, right? We're talking about something that's done through laser technology, and it's not anything to do with fluids, right?
Yeah, it's not intrusive. Pat wants to know if medical insurance will cover the cost of the watch.
Well, this is going to be very interesting because the answer is yes, for sure. There are a number of medical companies that will pay for the Apple Watch now. They'll pay a portion of it just for the cardiac benefit of it, right? Now, this is going to be really interesting because look at the savings. Look at the savings to insurance companies and people with being able to monitor this without the consumables, right? I tried to show that in the video, and whether I'm right on or whether it's a little bit more, a little bit less, the cost savings are going to be ginormous, right? Huge. And so I would think that the insurance companies will be buying this up like crazy because it's going to save them a pile of money. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I don't know yet. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
And the other thing too, remember, is this is back when we started with our first glucometers. This is the first stuff out of the bag, right? I trust Apple. Apple usually gets it right. They usually get it right. So I thought they would have it on the Series 6. I mean, I thought, Apple's got lots of resources and a lot of smart people. I thought we'd have a lot earlier. So they probably are just making sure it's working just perfect, right? But it will all get better with time, right?
That's what we're hoping and expecting. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was an early question wondering if what you know about smart alert bracelets.
Yeah, I saw that question. I'm not sure what they're referring to. They're probably maybe some bracelets that will that you wear. A bracelet could be a watch, right? A watch is just really, you could call a watch a bracelet. You could put all the technology into a bracelet. I don't know what I'm not familiar with bracelets, but I would think you could probably do the same thing with the bracelet. So
okay, one thing that surprises people when they first get a watch is that you really should wear it 24/7.
that is one of the big things that I told you about when we were talking about the Fitbit Sense. And it is like, I'm an old guy, and I always took my watch for, I don't know, 65 years. I took my watch off and I put it by the bedside table at night, right? And that's what I did. And so when I got the Fitbit Sense and I tried to figure out how it all was working, it monitors you through the night. And it monitors your temperature, it monitors your oxygen saturation. All the monitoring it does over the period of time when you're asleep. So if you don't wear the watch at night, don't buy a Fitbit Sense. You're wasting your money, right? It measures everything at night. It doesn't do it through the day. It measures it at night. So you need to wear the watch 24 hours. Now, the nice thing about the Fitbit Sense is that it has an excellent battery, and it usually just requires about 15 minutes a day to charge it completely up.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other
similar with my watch, my ring, my Aura ring, it lasts for a long time. It has a battery in there, and it monitors at night. It really is mostly for people who are into fitness or training for something, and a lot of athletes tend to use this now. But it really does tracks it all. But it really is set up to track your recovery and your sleep. And sleep is such an important part of your day.
Yeah, so I think that even people who get an Apple Watch and don't wear it overnight, I mean, there's still a ton of stuff that the Apple Watch can do just during the day, but you're missing out on learning a lot about how to improve your health by improving your sleep and monitoring it. So
Sure.
I know I wear mine all the time, and I do have to remember to take it off once in a while. It will alert me. It'll say, "Yo, I'm dying here."
The other thing I wanted to mention is that if this is sort of important, is Apple, if we look at the three watches and people why buy one versus the other, as you know, the Apple Watch has to be paired with an iPhone. So if you don't have an iPhone, you can't use an Apple Watch, right? It's only the two have to be paired together. Now, let me just say that Apple is a global sells their watches and phones globally, and they are committed globally. And they have now, through all the countries around the world, and they have been very good about going and getting the cardiac monitoring app approved in all the countries. Like, they had to go before the FDA, and they had to go and have stuff done through all the countries. And they've done a very good job at that. Samsung, the big problem with the Watch 3 was none of that worked when the watch came out. They had to be approved by the FDA, and they were sort of tiered in over the years, right? Now, that's a big problem. And then, of course, we have the Fitbit Sense, and we're hoping Google is going to be a global player. Although the Fitbit Sense is sold globally, a lot of the features on it don't work in other countries. For example, the cardiac monitoring device doesn't work in Canada, and they haven't had it approved yet. And it doesn't work in Singapore. I was listening to a reviewer this morning in Singapore. Doesn't work in Singapore. It hasn't been approved yet. So, and worse than that with Google is they're not even saying on the forums and stuff that they're even going to do it. We're hoping they are, right? You're hoping they're going to do this. Otherwise, you're buying a watch so you got to be careful depending on what country you're in, because you don't want to be purchasing a watch that doesn't have all these features enabled. Otherwise, you're just wasting your money, right?
Lot to know, but
Yeah.
always improving.
Always. Another question there. Got a couple from Facebook here. Which of these current or upcoming watches would be best for far-sighted seniors requiring reading glasses, something with a big screen?
A big screen on a watch.
And do any of these watches have GPS to track running and biking activities?
Yes. So they all have. So these three watches all have GPS. They all have GPS that will work without the phone. So they all have inherent GPS built into them. The watch face is easy because you can but you can get all sorts of watch faces and make the numbers bigger, right? So it doesn't matter. When you look at a watch face of these watches, you can change them. They're just an app that is the watch face, so you can make the numbers as big as you want. On the Fitbit Sense, the numbers are really big on the basic Fitbit. You know, the basic watch, the screen that it comes enabled is really big, and it's bright. It's brilliant, brilliant. It's got an AMOLED screen on it, and it's really brilliant. So I don't think anyone would have trouble seeing the numbers on the Fitbit Sense.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you can
Change it.
always look at it on your phone.
Yeah, just
Well,
change it.
you know, and change it. Now I have this doesn't have to do with heart rate, but it has to do with the fall detection. So I have an Apple Watch, and it has fall detection, which means if it sense a quick drop and stop, it will ask if I'm okay, or at least that's what they say. How do I test that? I've tried to fake a fall. You know, I want to see that I have the settings set right, and what does it do?
I offered to throw her off of the loft, but she didn't want to go for that.
Well, of course, it is, and Apple has done a very good job with that. They did an extremely good. Now, again, the Samsung Galaxy 3 has the fall detection, but the Fitbit Sense does not. Okay, so Apple has done a very good job on the fall detection in the watch, and it's really good. Like, you know, you consider if you sit down hard or you stumble or something happens when you actually don't fall, but it really knows when you have fallen, right? And so you get, I think it's a certain period of time, I think it's 30 seconds, when it asks you on the face there, are you okay? And if you don't say yes, in other words, that you don't put input into the watch, then it automatically calls. It calls the emergency services, or whoever you set up to call. Right? You could say, don't call emergency. I want you to call my son, or whatever. You know, you can have it set up, and then it will automatically dial that number, and it will call. But it's calling through your iPhone, right? So you need it to be. You need your iPhone, you know, you need your iPhones as well. So yeah, so that's what happens. So you'll have to get Jim to trip you, or to you know.
I thought I faked it pretty good, but it didn't do anything.
Yeah, I heard it, and I asked if everything was okay.
He asked if I was okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Any idea how the Fitbit Sense compares with the Inspire?
You know, I can't remember about the. I don't know about the Inspire. The Versa 3 is the Fitbit Sense without the heart rate variability monitor, which is this. The Sense has this thing called an EDA sensor, and we were talking a little bit about this before, and it measures your stress level, and it measures your heart rate variability, which all ties into stress. And I don't know. I'm not a stressed out person, and I don't really get involved. And you know, I'm retired, so I don't have any stress, right? So I'm not really that interested in stress management. But if you are, then it does this stressing thing where you put your palm on it, and it'll tell you if you're stressed out. So and it also, the Fitbit Sense has the cardiac, so it has those two things. But if you take away those two things, like in Canada, if they don't get approved, then the Versa 3, is it the Versa 3 or the latest Versa one, is the same as the Fitbit Sense, right? So it's exactly the same. I'm not sure what the other one is. I can't. There's got lots of models out. I can't remember.
Wow, yeah, they sure do. How does a new Apple phone need to be how new does the Apple phone need to be to work with the newest watch? And how about for Samsung?
So that, and I think it's you'll have to, I could be wrong in this. I mean, that's a known question that's on I think it's the Apple, I think it's the 7. I think the anything of the 7 and up, I think, is backwards compatible with all the watches. But that's a question you can ask Apple before you purchase the watch. I'm just not sure about that. And the same now with the Android, you have to remember, but the Galaxy 3 and the Fitbit will work also on the Apple Watch, the iPhone, right? So it's cross-platform against all the watches, right? Or a phone. So whether you got Android or whether you have iOS, it doesn't matter, because it'll work on all those different ones.
Okay, Bill says. Automatic fall detection, smashing garlic.
Using the hand with the Apple Watch
Bam.
on it.
So yeah, that would be, and that would make a big noise. It would startle me too.
Well, it's probably the pounding, I guess, that
Yeah.
would yeah.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Cool.
Yeah, but the fact that it works on both. I mean, I have the Apple Watch, but before I got the Apple Watch, I had the Fitbit Alta HR. And I stopped wearing it when I got the Apple Watch. But now that we're talking about this, I started yesterday. I am now wearing them both so I can contrast and compare. And it is pretty cool that I can see the app for the Fitbit on either my Android or my iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And I still like the sleep statistics better on the Fitbit than I do with the Apple and even the fancier app.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really am expecting big things from Google. I mean, I think that there's going to the profit margin.
Google owns Fitbit. That's what.
Yeah, I think that Google is really going to come a long way in this, and of course the Fitbit Sense is the first out of the bag, sort of since Google bought Fitbit, right? So I'm expecting lots of changes and lots of upgrades and lots of good things. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, there was a question about privacy. Do we want to go there? Data privacy for this health data certainly is a concern. One thing, though, Apple has often been thought of as more private because they keep all the data, for example, on your phone, whereas Google always uses the cloud for storing its data. But with watches, it has to go to the cloud to go in between. So it seems to me maybe a little bit more equivalent in the privacy area.
What do you think?
Hopefully they're keeping it private.
Well, and a lot of options often on these devices are an option to send your physician a copy of, because the ECG is just stored as a PDF, right? It's just a PDF file on your phone. So you can often set it up so that you can automatically send that to your physician, right? So that's certainly available to do.
And our primary care physician has an online portal where all of our records are stored privately to us, but there is an option to set up it that we have a Fitbit, for example, so that we can just automatically transfer the data to them.
Right now, that doesn't work with the Apple Watch, though.
Right. Apple Watch wasn't on the list, just the Fitbit.
Right.
So, and I don't know if that's a privacy thing or just that they haven't done the programming. I don't know.
There's another, AliveCor, which is a large company, which I talked about earlier, has an app called Cardiogram, C-A-R-D, Cardiogram with a, is it a K? Is it a K? Yeah. And it monitors, and for $4 a month, it actually does dynamic monitoring, continuous monitoring of your heart. So basically it's 24/7 as long as you're wearing the whatever device, and it doesn't have to be one of the three that I mentioned. Garmin and all the other devices, it links. It's an app, and it links on your smartphone. It links with the app on your smartphone, so the two of them link, and then it sends the data to the big AliveCor servers, and they monitor your heart and look for any atrial fibrillation or too fast, too slow, and they will actually alert you, or you can have it as an option to alert your cardiologist or your whoever is doing your healthcare. You can actually have them alert, and that's all tied into the package. So it's a pretty cool service.
Well, excellent.
Okay.
Enough.
I learned a lot.
I
Thanks,
did too.
Ron.
Well, did anyone else learn anything? We have some questions, and
We always like to wrap up with review questions.
With some review questions. Okay. Did you learn something? True or false? For best results, you should wear your watch 24/7.
I think we'll call on Ron to give the answers here today.
True.
Okay.
All right. Smartwatches can monitor your health using apps and what?
Sensors.
All right. Atrial fibrillation can be shown using what test? A, X-ray, B, TMT, C, ECG, or D, blood oxygen?
It would be C. I don't know what TMT is though, but it's
Neither
the
do
answer is
I
C.
She just makes stuff up all the
Yeah,
time.
I don't know what TMT is, but
It showed up on a list of medical tests.
oh really?
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
what it is
no.
either, but
Being alerted to this can save your life. A, high-low heart rate, blood oxygen, atrial fibrillation, or D, all of the above?
D, all of the above.
Okay, true or false, the fall detection feature can automatically call emergency.
And that would be a true.
It has to be set up. But
or
yeah,
whatever you set up. Yeah.
right.
Right.
The exciting new feature coming to smartwatches this year is A, blood sugar testing for diabetes, B, telehealth, or C, brain scans.
A, blood sugar.
I like brain scans. That was my
Yeah, that's sort of cool.
What do you have? Just
Yeah, just scan your brain. That'd be sort of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's great to have you here. I really appreciate all of that great information, and we'll stay tuned for a lot more. The folks remind you that the Backstage Pass is happening right after this show. You should have gotten an email if you're a premium member, or you can get the link from our website. All right. A reminder to sign up for our newsletters, Geeks on Tour, and become a premium member and subscribe to this channel. Okay.
and thanks again to Ron Brown. And if you like that, make sure to check out his Tech for Seniors
Absolutely.
every Monday morning.
And Chris, what's the webpage that lists all of our YouTube shows?
Our webpage is geeksontour.com, and the menu item is YouTube show. There's a listing of all episodes.
And
there.
the webpage has all of our recent newsletters.
geeksontour.com, and the menu item is blogs and news.
Great. We remind you to become a member. If you're not a member, you get a lot of good stuff. Backstage Pass is coming up. And that's it for us. I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And we are Geeks on Tour. And we'll see you next time.
And Ron will be joining us in Backstage too, right, Ron?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks again for everyone. And I think that's it. We'll see y'all later.